It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbing Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiuche, and great to be here with you. As usual, it's been a very interesting week that has been. We're going to be talking a lot about the Road to 2015 as we always do this week. But of course, today we're going to start off with the week that was. You know that we've had a very interesting week with first of all, the good news that came from the World Health Organization saying that Nigeria is now officially Ebola-free. It was awesome news to hear that our health officials and the government, it was a wonderful collaboration by everybody, including international organizations, to make sure that Nigeria did defeat what was seen as a deadly sort of entry into Nigeria. Most people thought it was the end of the road for us as soon as that hit Lagos. And thankfully, that seems to be in the past, at least for now. But of course, we all know that we are still at risk, whether we like it or not, seeing that all of the countries around us still have this serious issue to battle, and as long as that exists around us, we're still going to be in danger. So hopefully Liberia, Guinea, Sierra Leone, and we hear recently Mali now will eventually be able to defeat what is a serious scourge. But once again, of course, congratulations to Nigeria on defeating this deadly disease, and hopefully it is the beginning of much more good news to come for the country. Also in sports, the Super Falcons yesterday won the African Nations Cup for the 7th time. Awesome news in a time when football in Nigeria seems to be going downhill by the day. We did hear about a new court case, again, of a new ruling by the courts in Jos reinstating the Chris Giwa faction. Pinnick was prevented from boarding the plane to Namibia to go watch the Falcons play the finals. So much is happening with the NFF, and none of it is good news at all. So we don't know how that's going to end, especially as the Super Eagles continue to try to qualify for the Nations Cup. We also hear that the Super Eagles coach might be reinstated by the now reinstated heads of the NFF. We don't know what's going to happen. So in the next week, we'll just be watching that space to see. But of course, congratulations to the Super Falcons. And of what it knows is the fact that for the first time in the history of Africa, one country holds the title of the men and the female Nations Cup, and that is Nigeria. So congratulations to Nigeria for doing so well. We're going to take a very quick break now. When we come back, we'll be going into the road to 2015 as we always do. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Now, of course, you're watching Rubbing Minds, and we're going to go on straight onto the road to 2015 as we've been doing in the last couple of weeks. And I have here with me Joachim Macebong. Thanks for being here today. Now, let's start with the big one. President Goodluck Jonathan finally said, or at least insinuated, that he's going to run for president in 2015. He did acknowledge the PDP, and he set up so many committees, one committee for his declaration, one for his fundraising. But at least we know that he most likely will be declaring for president at least the first or second week of November. Yes, the date for that is supposed to be November 11th. As we hear, and yes, there is a declaration committee, there is a fundraising committee, there are sorts of committees. Basically, it seems like everybody in government is a member of those committees. Exactly. So basically, masquerade is moving. So it's time for everybody to equally find their level. It's going to be a very interesting couple of weeks. The Buhari train is moving already. The Jonathan train is moving already. So let's see how they begin to engage themselves. They've started the rhetoric already, rallies here and there. So yeah, interesting things. Yeah, interesting things. I mean, it's not a surprise that Mr. President has finally said he's going to run. Most people expect him to run anyways. It was an open secret all this while, so there was no real gasp or anything when it did happen. But what does that really do for the APC now that it's almost official, knowing that okay, it's time to now start kicking things into gear? Well, it's not just for them. Even for people who have the mind of switching parties, decamping, recamping, or whatnot, is now the time has come really for everybody to know to go to their various stands. So the remaining people who are going to move the window is closing for people who are serious about moving from one party to the other to actualize their ambition. Ministers have left the cabinet already to go to their states to see if they can become governors and whatnot. So the APC as well is about to finalize its own choice, and it's expectedly it's a very contentious choice, but hopefully if they are able to do it via a process where even people who have disagreements can feel like they've been taken on board, then eventually they can have a stronger party going forward. Yeah. We'll go into the APC in a bit, but I want to talk about still on President Jonathan and a lot of whispers, and it seems to be getting louder by the day about Mr. President dropping Mr. Vice President for 2015. Do you think that's a realistic possibility? Now, again, the issue is how much do we know about what the PDP National Working Committee is thinking about?
There are some whispers that it might be Ribadu. There are some whispers that it might be Usman Dan Kigari.
Yeah. Even Muazu's name comes up sometimes.
Even Muazu's name has come up, yes. So there are all sorts of things. But what is clear is that the Vice President, Namadi Sambo, is seen as rather expendable. And it shows how far we've come from 2003, where Atiku was a cornerstone of
the ticket, basically.
of the ticket, whose support had to be secured for Western to run a second term. So we've moved from Atiku in 2003 to an expendable Namadi Sambo in 2014, 2015. So, but what is clear is even if he stays, he's going to be even less relevant, and as we move forward, that one is clear because he has been clearly undermined by people in the party. He doesn't seem to have a base, and so all the things that come with that, loss of relevance and all of that, are going to is what we'll see going forward for him.
But is it something that Mr. President really needs to do, though? Seeing as the APC seems to be counting a lot of votes from the north and the southwest, so the northern vote might be the tricky part for Mr. President. Yes. Is it something he needs to do to secure the northern vote?
And the northern vote is the reason why Sambo could be expendable, because he needs to try to reduce Buhari's margins in the north. Buhari will win across much of the north. If you add also the APC structure behind him, if eventually the primaries are done and you have people like Kwan Kwaso on his side and all of that, he will get a lot of margins, but he needs to reduce those margins as much as possible. And as a result, he may need a stronger northern candidate. That candidate may be Muazu, it may be someone else. But what's clear is that Sambo is probably unable to do the kind of thing that the Jonathan campaign team knows that it needs to do in order to secure 2015.
Okay. Moving on to the APC now, and it's interesting you keep talking about Buhari. Yes. You don't even seem to mention Atiku anymore. Who's declared? We also hear that Kwankwaso will be declaring this week, I think on Tuesday, for president. So it looks like everybody has concluded that it's going to be Buhari Jonathan again.
It's a very weird thing, because Atiku has done a lot of groundwork. He has put out a lot of proposals with regard to what he's actually going to do with the ticket. In fact, of all the candidates, he's the one who has been clearest about what he has to do
from the start.
And he's been very clear, and he's been on message throughout. So it's very interesting. And then suddenly Buhari begins to move.
Who said in 2011 that he wasn't going to run again?
Yes, it is. Same thing Jonathan said.
Well, something Jonathan said.
So people change their minds a lot. So you have all these things, but suddenly Buhari moves. But the thing is, Buhari's appeal is because he never decamped. He never went to the PDP. He was never in the ruling party at any stage, at least since 1999. But
so his message, so to speak, has been consistent.
His message has been consistent, meaning he has always been outside of the establishment, which is weird because he was a former military ruler, but he has stayed firmly outside the establishment since 1999. And it's a very difficult thing to do. Atiku has moved from PDP to ACN, back to PDP, now it's with APC, So all of that movement may have affected his standing among northern voters as people who are just there for, the expediency of it all. I mean, his presence, his media presence is a very polished presence, at least relatively speaking.
Yeah.
But on the ground, it seems like his constant movement between opposition and establishment has harmed him a bit. But there's nothing like that for Buhari. He has stayed permanently outside and has had nothing at all, not at all to do. And it's very, very hard to see that have such a profile among current Nigerian politicians today.
Yeah. Something interesting happened in Rivers State yesterday, where there was this massive rally with members of the APC led by the governor of the state, Rotimi Amechi, and there was a lot of buzz about it. There was a lot of brickbats were thrown, a lot of things were thrown at the center and the federal government and all of that. And the crowd was actually very, very impressive. I mean, I was watching. I thought Amechi wasn't as popular, but apparently he is. At least even if the crowd was rented, it seemed quite genuine. My point being, does that in any way give you a sense that the South might be in some way swinging, even if not halfway to the APC, but at least they do have some support there?
Now,
because most people think it's solely PDP.
Exactly. Now the thing is, the issue, like I said, is about margins in the Southeast and the South-South. Now the role of men like Okorocha, Adams Oshomole, and even Amechi's role is a very key role Amechi and what's his name, the former Bayelsa governor,
Timipre
Silva. These men have a very important role in reducing PDP margins in the South for the APC. Now, the extent to which they can do this is going to help, for example, in the spread calculations, because to become president, you have to win at least 25% in 24 of 36 states. Now, there are 19 northern states, if you add the southwest, and then, but the thing is, you need to reduce margins as much as possible. That's why Sambo's case is shaky, because to what extent can he help to reduce those margins for Buhari in the north? So also, Amechi is very important. To what extent can he help to reduce margins for PDP in the south-south? So we don't know the extent to which he has been able to do this. Maybe it will change a lot in the next 2 months. But because we don't have solid polls that are able to track sentiments, we can't say for sure.
Yeah.
What we have to go on is anecdotes, pictures, and the rest of them. But to actually have an actual lock on the effect that he's having is not something that we can really bank on for now. But if his influence is significant, then I think that they can make the 25% threshold in a place like Rivers, for example, and Bayelsa.
Yeah. Well, just on the final note now, very quickly. In 2011, we had, I don't know, probably 30 presidential candidates.
Yeah.
This year, it seems like no other party seems to be declaring, we don't seem to have any candidates anywhere besides the APC and the PDP, at least any serious people.
Yes.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing that we're now almost narrowed down to 2 parties?
I think it's a good thing. And it's a good thing because, for example, the empty shells that the parties formerly known as ABGA and Labour Party have, of course,
finally aligned
to where they would have been, the AMPP and everything. So you have both sides of the divide coalescing, as it were. You know, this was the initial thought that IBB had. IBB always thought that Nigeria should have a 2-party system, but he tried to engineer it out of a test tube. Okay, but
without letting it naturally happen.
Exactly, but you can see that his initial idea was right in that eventually Nigeria will coalesce, but he was ahead of his time and he tried to rig it a bit. But now we are back to 2 parties, and I think that is what is going to happen going forward. It's better for us to have a clear choice than to have many small little choices here and there. You know, it gives people, it confuses people, I see, because the more choices you have, ironically, the more confused you are.
Yeah.
Which is very ironic.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Joachim. It's going to be very interesting seeing how the months unfold. November is definitely going to be very, very hot. A lot of declarations and primaries. Exactly. And from December to February, we're just going to be watching all of that space. Hopefully everything stays peaceful and violent. We're going to take a quick break now and be right back. Please stay with us.